Alexa, stop. Hello friends, welcome back to Arctic's 8-Bit Bytes. If you're into AV engineering, programming, and all things tech, you're in exactly the right place. Now, I'm sure that you're noticing that this video is not in my basement like we have been doing for the last couple of videos. And I've been super busy this week with work and have had very little time. And so I decided to pick up a small little portable action camera. That way I could record some of this stuff on the go and not be stuck to the basement. So I kind of wanted to talk about this camera because it's pretty cool. And I'm sure you've all heard about it, maybe, maybe not. But there's a drone company out there that makes cameras and drones. It's called DJI, and they've been around for a long time. But they have a small little camera that's kind of like a GoPro, and it's the Action 5 Pro. And the one thing that I think is absolutely awesome about it is that it has a built-in wireless mic receiver on it, so you can get better audio. And it has these tiny little wireless mic transmitters. And you don't need a wireless mic receiver at the camera. You just throw the camera up and clip on this tiny little microphone and you're ready to go. The other cool thing about this camera is that it has AI built into it. And it has stabilization modes, it has a horizontal stabilizer mode, and the other thing is it has a subject tracking mode. And as you can see, the camera is following me, and the camera isn't moving, and it's doing all this inside the camera with AI. And it's not a post-processing thing. It just does it in real time, and then you pull the video file off and then you're ready to go without any editing. So there's some pretty cool features. And this is a good segue from AI to what we're going to be talking about in the video. We're going to be talking about more AI. So here we go, on to the rest of the video. So today, I'm diving into Microsoft Copilot and how it's becoming a powerhouse tool for tech, programming, and audio-video engineering. When I started doing some research for this video, I was really blown away. I actually thought that the different versions of Copilot were all the same thing. But it turns out there are several different versions, each excelling in its own way. And some of these Copilot versions even offer different models for more intense thinking and maybe even deeper research. Simply put, Copilot has become a little bit of a secret weapon. And for months, I didn't want to talk about it with anyone. It really was that good. But the secret's getting out. And sooner than later, I think everyone will be tapping into what it can do. So this video is my effort to get the word out to other AV engineers and programmers. It's definitely time. Okay, here we go. About 2 years ago, I had a meeting with our local Q SYS rep. And he mentioned that ChatGPT could be used for Lua scripting and programming, even hinting that programmers might become a thing of the past. Now, intrigued, I immediately installed the iPhone version of ChatGPT and started asking questions, asking it engineering questions. When I asked it to write Q SYS or Crestron programs for specific tasks, the results were completely mixed. Sometimes it was close and sometimes it was way off. Now, a few scripts even felt completely out of context, as if they had been stitched together from mismatched examples, wherever it was getting its data from. When I asked about certain current AV hardware, it often said it had no record of that device. And I know now that's because some of the older AI models were just running off of trained data and segments of data that were captured and loaded into it. It actually wasn't pulling that data from the web or getting real-time information. Now, fast forward to just a couple of months ago, my company, which runs on Microsoft 365, quietly enabled something that no one knew about. And one day, while opening Microsoft Edge, I noticed a new icon next to the search bar in the top right. I had no idea what it was, so I clicked it. As it turns out, it was a built-in AI assistant called Copilot. What I later discovered was that our IT administrator had enabled Microsoft Copilot across our entire organization. Naturally, I started asking questions about programming, and right away I noticed that something was completely different. The vague, often incorrect responses that I would see earlier from ChatGPT were gone, and Copilot's answers were now spot on. Incredibly accurate, and it seemed as though it wasn't just copying code from other sources. And I also started testing it with engineering questions about the latest AV gear, and it was able to answer all those questions. It was also pulling that info from the same programming and engineering resources that I would pull it from, because when it gives you a response, it tells you those references. And those sources are like Crestron's public support pages and the Q SYS forums and Reddit and a bunch of other reliable online communities that I pull info from. So I was blown away that it was looking at the same sources. I then decided to take it a step farther. I intentionally broke a working Lua script program and asked Copilot to fix it. And not only did it identify the errors that I had created, it suggested a corrected version that worked flawlessly. It also went on to recommend a few ways to make the program better and better error checking. I was absolutely blown away. So Copilot obviously has now learned how to write and debug code. And it wasn't just guessing. It's very obvious that it was reasoning and thinking through the logic. So my last step was to start asking even more specific questions. Now, this time it was about a version of Lua that is sandboxed inside the AV platform made by QSC called Q SYS. This Q SYS platform has its own extension libraries that take basic Lua and expand it to what I call Q SYS Lua. I asked the question and Copilot paused for a second or two. And it obviously found the information off of the Q SYS help file online for those libraries. And all of a sudden it started answering those questions, and it was able to answer Q SYS specific syntax questions. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the different Copilot versions. When I started using Copilot, I thought that Copilot was Copilot. Wherever I saw the Copilot icon, I was getting the same thing. What I didn't realize was that each version has a slightly different group of capabilities. And I'm sure that as time goes by, all these different versions are going to merge into one. But for now, each version has its own strengths and weaknesses, and it's to our advantage to figure out what those are. So let's talk a little bit about some of these things that make these versions unique. So the first version, Microsoft Copilot 365. It's integrated into Office. This is embedded in Word and Excel and Outlook and PowerPoint. Great for business workflows. It can read emails and summarize emails. It can rewrite emails. It can rewrite documents. It can decode spreadsheets and figure out some of the math for you. And it can build presentations in PowerPoint. One catch here is that there's no direct web access for the 365. It's basically designed that way to keep businesses safe for security. So it doesn't access the internet. So you kind of got to know that when you click on the 365 Copilot. So the next version is a Microsoft Edge Copilot version. So when you open up the browser, it's right next to the search bar to the upper right. And this transforms Edge into an AI-powered browser with tab-aware summarization. What that means is I could have 10 different tabs up, and it's aware of the data on those pages. It can pull live data from websites and articles and search results. It's absolutely amazing for doing research. It can analyze papers and it can pair shopping. It can translate content, and it can assist with code snippets from GitHub. So it can do a little bit of programming and search some of those libraries to get some of that data. So that's Edge Copilot. All right, the next version is the Copilot desktop app. Now this version, you actually have to download the program and install on your desktop. It becomes a central hub for basically everything on your computer. It's more of a general use AI. It has chat agents and notebooks, and there's a thing called vision mode where apparently you can see what's on your screen and answer questions about what's on your screen. It supports live data and web search, so it can pull up current events. The one thing that I really like about it that makes it good for engineering and programming is that it has the different AI models. So it has a think deeper mode, it has a deep research mode, and it has a smart mode, which is used on the new GPT-5. So yeah, I guess the other thing too is it also can program for you, and it can debug code, it can debug Lua, it can write in Crestron SIMPL Plus. It can explain syntax, it can help you learn in a new programming language. So if you were to use one AI, yeah, the Copilot desktop app is pretty amazing. Now, the next version is GitHub Copilot for Microsoft Visual Studio Code. Now, VS Code is a free programming utility made by Microsoft. It's somewhat of a fancy text editor. It will let you load extensions into it for certain languages so it can help you program. Since 2021, one of those extensions that you can add was a version of Copilot, and they called it GitHub Copilot. It was originally free in 2021 for a trial period. Then it became something that you had to pay for in 2022. But last year, in 2024, VS Code released some major updates. And one of those updates was Copilot is now fully integrated into this application. And it's not just an added extension anymore. They also brought back the limited use free option too, so you could use it for free if you want to play with it. GitHub Copilot now has its own chat window off to the right side of the window. And you can also activate it within the command line or the text editor. It has the capability to suggest changes, and it can debug your code. And the one thing it can do is it can actually change your code direct in the programming editor window. So unlike other versions where you have to copy and paste the code back and forth yourself. So sounds absolutely amazing, right? Well, there is a catch. So GitHub Copilot is slightly sandboxed. It doesn't have the direct open access to the web that the desktop version has. And if you give it a link to a website or online help file, it can, however, go online and access that information to help you with syntax and stuff. If you do decide to use it as a programming tool, it also has several AI models to pick from. And one of them is the deeper thinking model that, it helps you with deeper thinking for code suggestions. What I found, if you're programming in a language that is common to all, like basic Lua, it does absolutely amazing. If you're programming something very specific, like Q SYS Lua, you just need to have to make sure that you give it a link to the online help file, and then it becomes amazing again with answering your questions. So I just think that the trick here is you kind of got to learn its strengths and weaknesses and how to use it. Let's conclude this video with a few of my final thoughts. And what do I personally think about all this, and what will I be using? First, I think the desktop app version of Copilot is an absolute powerhouse. The deeper AI models are perfect for asking AV engineering questions. I also think that the desktop version is excellent at programming and debugging and helping you to learn coding. Now, will I let Copilot 365 write emails for me and do all my office work? Nope, I'm absolutely not there yet. Now, maybe I'll let it help me rewrite some stuff and maybe use some intelligent grammar and spell checking. That's pretty cool. And to be honest, who knew that we'd never really have to learn how to spell or use proper grammar when we were taking it in English back in the day? It's pretty funny. Now, as far as GitHub Copilot writing all of my code from scratch, yeah, I'm not quite there yet. And I personally don't feel like it's completely there yet either. And I feel like I spend more time trying to get it to do what I want it to do than to just do it myself. Now, as far as helping to debug code and helping me to remember certain programming contexts, it's totally awesome. And on some occasions, it's great at creating math functions. And honestly, sometimes it can come up with some snippets of code that are pretty useful also too. But for me, though, it's definitely not walk away and have an AV program ready to copy and paste 10 minutes later. Now, for now, the desktop app version will be open in my window on my desktop every day and all day long. Now, I plan to keep using the GitHub Copilot as another programming tool. And I even personally paid for the paid plan for GitHub Copilot. Now, I'm going to guess, though, that maybe in another year or two, we're all going to have a lot to think about here as programmers. And we better damn well make sure that we're great engineers, because the programming side of things is going to get a little bit dicey. Now, maybe, eventually, we're just going to become AI program assemblers instead. And hey, and last but not least, thanks for watching Arctic's 8-Bit Bytes, where I'm pleased to be your internet AV engineering and programming resource. If you enjoyed this video, please click like and subscribe for more AV-related content. Like, seriously, thanks for listening to my Copilot AI rant. Thinking deeper and so the next version, what are you doing? Now, GitHub Copilot is slightly sandboxed. It doesn't have the drug. And if you get Alexa, stop.